Hi everyone, this is Dikshit. Welcome to my channel. In this particular video, we will going to discuss about creating and sending alerts by using Prometheus and Grafana. Before that, let's understand the importance of alerts by using few of the use cases. The first use case is, let's say there is a developer community where they use Jenkins as their CI/CD tool, and they've created a lot of commit basis pipeline, pull request basis pipeline, daily pipelines, and some kind of automation deployment jobs as well, and all the pipelines were working fine. Due to some network connectivity issues, Jenkins master and slave, the connectivity was interrupted, and due to which whatever the jobs that are triggered by developers were like going into build queue. Job will be accepted by Jenkins, but it will go into build queue as there is no agents which are there to execute whatever the steps that you have mentioned in the pipeline. It will go to the build queue. And let's assume in this case, alerting is not enabled. So this issue has been started around 8 a.m. As developer didn't get the feedback, developer community itself reported this particular issue to DevOps team around like 11 a.m. So in this case, within these 2 hours, lot of jobs would have definitely went into build queue, and build queue would have been piled up like anything. And once they get this particular issue, DevOps team will look into this, and they've worked on it, and they would have solved that particular issue. And once they solve that particular issue, so as build queue is more, so it can cause Jenkins downtime as well, or like it can cause the slowness in the pipelines. So this impacts again the developer productivity. Already in these 2 hours, developer productivity has been impacted. So in case, in this particular situation, if alerting is enabled, let's assume if 15 jobs are there in the build queue, if DevOps team gets an alert, so then this particular issue would have been solved at the earliest. So which would have definitely helped in multiple ways. One is developer productivity would have not been impacted. And if any pipelines, important pipelines are there, which are there in the queue, those would have not impacted. And also, as I said, like as there is much load on the Jenkins, it can cause downtime. So that we would have avoided. All these kind of issues would have definitely avoided if alerting would have been there. So that's where you can see that how alerting plays an important role in these kind of scenarios. The second use case is, let's assume there is a microservice application which is being deployed on a Kubernetes cluster. And due to some kind of a node issues, two microservices went down. So which is account and shipping microservice. In this case, if corrective action is not taken at the earliest, it can impact other microservices as well, and as well as our customers as well. So if impacts customer, then it indirectly impacts the business, total business as well. So that's where, in this particular situations, if alerting is enabled, as soon as some microservice goes down, alert being sent to some certain teams, development team or some kind of a monitoring team, they can take a corrective action as soon as possible, which can reduce the downtime of a certain microservice so that it won't impact other microservices as well as our customers as well. So that's where in this particular situations also you can see that alerting plays a very, very important role. And the next use case is related to JFrog. So now, in many of the projects I've seen, Artifactory is a mandatory tool. So that's where all the artifacts they will gonna store. When I say artifacts, it can be Docker image, Helm charts, application artifacts like war file, jar file, many things they will gonna store it here. And let's assume in this case also JFrog is used for all those particular activity. And in production grade, JFrog will be definitely connected with some kind of a database to store artifact information. This is how in production grade it will be. It won't be only JFrog instance. Within that, we will going to store the data. And let's assume in this particular setup, number of microservices in the project has been increased, and due to which the number of artifacts, our developers who are using JFrog will definitely will gonna increase. And also, let's assume there is pipelines which are being used for these microservices are also connected to this particular JFrog. And all the artifacts is being pulled and also uploaded to this particular JFrog itself. And at certain point of time, so the capacity of database reached to 100%. And in this case, what will happen when database is 100%, the JFrog will go into downtime. So in this case, if alert being enabled, so let's assume if database capacity 80%, in this particular point, if alert being sent to DevOps team or some certain admin team, so then they would have taken a corrective action like increasing the resources of this particular machine or deleting the old data. So we would have avoided the downtime. Because if JFrog is down, other developers or also pipelines will be impacted. So these kind of situations also can be avoided if proper alerting is enabled. So that's where alerting plays a crucial aspect that plays a significant role in ensuring reliability, availability, and performance of the systems. And also it helps us in early detection of the issues and reducing the downtimes, and which can impact reliability and stability as well. So, and I always say in my multiple videos that it's not about always installing or creating something. Observability plays a very, very important role. So when once you install or create or configure something, you need to monitor it, whether it is working properly or not. So now coming to this particular video. So prerequisite to watch this particular video, you need to know the basics of Docker, Jenkins, Prometheus, Grafana, InfluxDB, and SQL queries, because we will gonna write few of the influx query to fetch the data from the database. And also one more very important or mandatory prerequisites, I would say. I've already made one of the video on monitoring production grade Jenkins. So that's where I've already done the setup which is required for this particular video also. If I've not watched that, please do watch it. I'm going to provide the link in video's description. The setup that I did it in previous video is I created a 4 Docker containers. That's where I have hosted all the tools like Jenkins, InfluxDB, Prometheus, Grafana inside those containers. And once this is done, so then I've installed the plugins in the Jenkins, which are InfluxDB plugins and Prometheus plugins. Once that is done, I have configured these particular plugins and then established the connectivity between Prometheus and InfluxDB as well. So once those things are done, so I have created a data source in Grafana for InfluxDB and Prometheus. Once the data sources are created, so then we have created a very beautiful dashboard. So where we can monitor all the jobs and Jenkins status itself on this particular dashboard. And in this video, I'll be using the same setup, but I'm gonna do few changes in this particular setup. So as I said in the beginning, so I would like to send the alerts by using Prometheus. So that's where I need to use Alertmanager. So I'm gonna deploy Alertmanager again in a container. So inside the same machine. And once that is deployed, so then I'm gonna configure that in a Prometheus. And then we will gonna take a few of the scenarios and we will gonna send the alert. The scenarios is first I want to monitor the Jenkins. In case of Jenkins downtime, and I want to send an alert. That is one scenario. The second one is the Jenkins queue. I will gonna monitor the Jenkins queue. If Jenkins queue crashes more than 10 jobs, then I would like to send an alert. This is also we will gonna see. And the third one is I'm gonna monitor certain job in the Jenkins. And if that particular job has more than 10 errors, or like if pipeline executions, more than 10 pipeline executions, which has been errored out, so then I want to send the alert. So these three scenarios that we will gonna see. The first two I'm gonna achieve it by using Alertmanager. The third one, the I'm gonna write the query influx query, and I'm gonna send the alerts by using Grafana alert rules. In this demo, I'll be using this particular repository. So this is where I have stored all the commands which are required for the demo, and as well as the configuration files which are required for Alertmanager, Prometheus, Grafana has been stored here. I'm going to provide this particular link in video's description. It can definitely help you in your practice as well. So in my case, I'm using AWS as cloud. So that's where I've created an EC2 machine, and I've launched all 4 containers, which are Grafana container, Prometheus, Jenkins, InfluxDB container. And so these been already launched, and also I've configured all these particular tools. You can see that Jenkins is up and running, and I've created some of the dummy jobs already. And Prometheus is up and running. You can see that I've executed a up query, and Jenkins is being integrated already with this. And we can see here as well targets. So Prometheus is one target, the other one is Jenkins. You can see that it has been integrated, and Prometheus is monitoring Jenkins as well. And then Grafana. So Grafana is also up and running. So you can see that this is a dashboard that in my previous video I've explained, and the same dashboard that I'm displaying here. Now let's get onto the mission and let's configure our deploy alert manager. For that, so let's go to the GitHub repository, and this is the command that I need to use to bring up alert manager. Before deploying the alert manager, I need to prepare a configuration file. So that configuration file is here. So which is alert manager YML. And in this configuration, so I'm configuring SMTP details because the alerts has to be sent to email, right? That email configurations is what I'm trying to do here. So here you can see that very important is the SMTP host and the port. I'm using GoDaddy's host, so that's where these are the details. And this is a username and password. Usually password we shouldn't store it in GitHub or any SCM. But as it is a demo, so after this demo, I'm going to change this particular password. So that's where I've kept it here. And also I won't use TLS verification. So that's where I'm skipping TLS verification as well. So this is a simple configuration. Let me create a file alert manager. So let me copy paste. So alert manager YML. And then let's copy now the configuration. So the configuration is fine. YML, you need to check the spaces between each tag. So that's where I've just verified that particular one. So configuration looks okay for me. So that's where I'm going to save this particular configuration file. And once that is done, so let me copy the alert manager command. So this is the alert manager command. So let me execute it. Here I'm not doing anything. So I'm executing a simple Docker run and I'm running it in a daemon mode. And the name of the container, I'm providing it as Prometheus Alert Manager. And then I'm setting a time zone and then I'm copying this Alert Manager configuration, which is there in the machine onto the container. Because this configuration file should be there in the Alert Manager container. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And then I'm publishing the port. So Alert Manager by default runs on 9093. So that is what I'm providing it here. And this is an image which is there in the hub.docker.com. So I'm using the same image. So let me press and enter. You can see that the container is created and you can see that it is up and running as well. So we can access Alert Manager in the browser as well. So let me go ahead and do that. So Alert Manager runs on 9093. You can see that now Alert Manager is being up and running and we can see the configurations as well. Click on status, which shows whether it is ready or not. And also all the configurations that we have done also will be shown here. Now this is done. So now I need to integrate Alert Manager with Prometheus. So let's do that. To do that, in the Prometheus configuration, we need to do a bit of changes. So Prometheus configuration file is also there in this particular directory. So let me open that. Prometheus -YML. So the first one is alert manager information we need to provide. So this is the info. This is a place where we need to provide the alert manager information. You can see that already target being added. Let's verify this is my machine IP or not. Let me go to EC2 machine. Yes, 3.1.1.196.3.2. Yes, that is my IP address, and this is where my alert manager is hosted. So this is one configuration that I need to do. So let's save. And then once it is saved, I need to restart my Prometheus container because I have done some configuration. So that's why Docker restart, and then I need to do Prometheus container restart. So I'm gonna do this particular one. And once I restart, so let's go to browser again and check whether Alert Manager is being configured properly or not. Let's click on configuration in Prometheus. We can see whether Alert Manager is being configured or not. You can see that Alert Manager is configured properly now. So this is now done. Now the next thing is alert rules. In Prometheus, if you want to send alerts, then you need to create something called as alert rules. If you don't know Prometheus, then I've made a video series from the basics. Please do watch it. I'm going to provide that link also in the video's description. Now we need to create a alert rules. To create a alert rules, so we need to do again few changes in Prometheus. So first thing is, let's look at the alert rules. So let me open this particular alert rules.yml file. And these are the alert rules that I want to create. The first one is whether Jenkins is up and running or not. So this rule checks whether Jenkins is up and running or not. If Jenkins is up and running, so then it's okay. If it is not up and running, so then this alert will be created and it will be sent via email. So that is what the first alert rule talks about. The second alert rule is the Jenkins queue. If Jenkins queue is more than 10, So then I want to create the alert. So that's the reason this alert rule that I've created here. Here it is very simple. So I'm checking for this expression. So this query, let me execute it in Prometheus. So this provides me Jenkins queue. If this value crosses 10 in number, so then I want to create this particular alert. So that is what I'm trying to do here. So let me copy this particular one as well. So before that one, let me kind of create this particular file. Vi Prometheus rules.yml. You can call whatever the name that you want to call it with. So I'm going with Prometheus rules YML. So let me copy this particular file name and let me paste it here. And again, this is YML. You need to check the spacing whether while copying whether it is correct or not. So in my case, it is correct. So let me save this particular one. And now I need to do one more change actually in Prometheus YML file in the configuration file because I have used this Prometheus rules YML, right? This file name I need to refer it in Prometheus configurations as well. So let's do that particular change. Prometheus.yml, and then here you can see that rules file. This is where instead of this alert rules YML, I need to provide the name of my file, which is I've created it as Prometheus underscore rules YML. Let's copy this. I'm gonna put it here and let's save it. Now I need to restart Prometheus container. And also one more thing is even restart won't help me because this file I need to copy it. This Prometheus rules YML is there, right? This I need to copy it inside the container. So that's why what I need to do now is I need to stop and recreate Prometheus container with the same configurations. Let me do that. So I'm gonna stop Prometheus container first. And then I will also remove it. So once this is done by using this particular command, I'm gonna start the Prometheus container. You can see that again, I'm using a simple options. I'm running in a daemon mode. I'm providing it a name for the container and I'm copying the Prometheus YML to the Prometheus directory and as well as I'm copying the rules file. So these two are very, very important. So that's why because of this, I'm restarting or like recreating the container. And then once that is done, so I'm publishing the ports and then the image, Prometheus image. So let me create the container. So let's see whether Prometheus is up and running or not. I see that Prometheus is up and running. Let me clear the screen. Again, let's execute Docker PS. You can see that Prometheus is up and running. Let's go ahead and access Prometheus over browser. Let me do that. You can see that now let's see targets whether it has been added or not and whatever the alert rules that we have added which are there or not. You can see that whatever the alert rules that I've added which are there here. Now let's do one thing. We'll bring down Jenkins whether this alert will gonna work properly or not. Let's check that particular one. So I'll come back to this particular instance again. So I'm gonna stop the Jenkins container so that target will be down in Prometheus. So now I've stopped it. So let's see what will happen to this particular alert. So still you can see that it is there in the inactive state because this down state, whatever Jenkins down state is there, right? It should happen for 1 minute. It should be there for 1 minute. Then only it will gonna send the alert. Okay, so I see one more mistake that I've done. So when I say up here, like it will gonna basically query out both the results. So when I say up here, it will gonna query the status of both the targets. So maybe I need to reconfigure my alert. So let me do that. So vi Prometheus underscore rules.yml. This is where I need to give the expressions properly. So let me provide this expression so that it can monitor only Jenkins and send the alerts. So let me save this. And I don't need to again stop, remove and recreate it as the configurations is already copied. So then I just need to restart. And once I do that, so let me refresh the screen. And in this case, let's see the alert whether it has been configured properly or not. You can see that it has been configured. Let's monitor the targets as well. You can see that it says up, and now you can see that it is still getting the information from this particular endpoint. You can see that it is down in state, and in a minute you can see that from inactive it has gone to pending. Now from pending it will be sent to firing state in a while. Once it sends to firing state, so we should be able to see that alert in the alert manager as well. You can see that already it is there in the alert manager. From this alert manager, so now it should be sent to whatever the email that I've configured. You can see in the configuration of Alert Manager, I've said that it should be sent to this particular email ID by using whatever the details that I've provided. It would have sent the email for this particular email ID. Let's check that. But before that, let me do Docker logs. You can see that it has sent an email. I don't see any issues here. If any errors were there, then the configuration, whatever I made, would have been wrong. But I don't see any issues with the logs. So let's log into that particular email ID and let's check whether email has been received or not. You can see that now I've logged in and I've received one alert. You can see that which has been sent by Prometheus, that is Jenkins is down. So that is good. So now this alert is working properly. Now let me do one thing. So let's increase the Jenkins queue. Let's see whether that particular alert will gonna come or not. Let me go back to this particular machine. I'll restart the Jenkins because if I want to increase the Jenkins queue, so then definitely I need Jenkins. So I'm gonna use previously whatever the command that I'd used. So I'd used stop command, right? So that's where I'm gonna use start again. So now let's do Docker PS. I see that Jenkins container is up and running. So let's go ahead and access this particular one. You can see that as Jenkins is down, even the web page is not loaded properly. And you can see that I'm not able to reach Jenkins, but now it has started again. So let's log into Jenkins and then let's increase the build queue. And now, so let me go to one of the job, a dummy job. And here what I will do is let's change the agent name, which is not there in my Jenkins setup. So I'm gonna change agent. So as this label is not there, this job, when I trigger for multiple times, all the jobs will be there in the queue. So I've clicked on build now for multiple times. You can see that already I've clicked multiple times. Let me click on few more times. You can see that I've clicked, I guess, more than 10 times. Let me run few more times. Now, I guess it is definitely more than 10 times. Let's monitor these details in the Grafana dashboard as well. So now you can see that, let me keep it as 30 minutes. You can see that the executor count, queue count, and node count still looks very normal because now it will be pulling the data from Prometheus, right? So it will going to take a bit of a time. So once that is done, so we will be able to see this queue size bit more. And also whatever the three alerts that I discussed, we can create directly in Grafana itself. But I just wanted to show Alert Manager as well as it is a demo. So let's see now, let's refresh whether data has been pulled or not. You can see that now data is being pulled. It is not shown in this particular way, but you can see that already 15 jobs are there in the queue. And now let's go ahead and check my Prometheus as well. Here you can see that this Jenkins downstate because now it is Jenkins is back up and running, right? So that's where now from pending or like firing state, it came to inactive state. So now let's see whether I've received the email because now Jenkins queue has been more than 10, right? So our expression, if you see in Prometheus, our expression is if job queue, if it is more than 10, so then I need to alert it. You can see that now it is more than 10. So I've received the email as well. So one is it has been resolved. The first thing is Jenkins instance downtime has been resolved. So even the resolved emails will be sent to the respective the email which has been configured in Prometheus. That is being sent. Now let's check whether job queue email has been sent or not. I see that a few of the mails which are there in spam as well. Let's check that. So these are downtime emails. So multiple downtimes emails also it is being sent. And I see that I have not received any email regarding the Jenkins queue. It should have already sent. So let's again go to Prometheus. Let's refresh and let's see whether it's there in the alert manager or not. You can see here from pending state, it took some time to move it to firing state. That is intentional because sometimes what will happen is within some time this particular issue will be solved, right? So now it is in firing state. I can see that in alert manager as well. So this particular alert. So now I should see in my email box as well. You can see that now this particular message also being kind of sent to this particular email ID because the Jenkins queue is ID. And like this, we can create many other alerts as well. So let's assume if you want to check the node count, executor count, and also other metrics if you want to consider and send alerts, that is also possible. And now what we will do is let's remove few of the jobs here. Let's abort few of the jobs. Once I abort these particular jobs, the Jenkins queue should get reduced. In turn, that particular alert should be solved. And then this alert should go from firing state to inactive state. Now I have aborted multiple jobs. In queue, only 3 jobs are there. Let's see in Jenkins monitoring whether it has captured or not. So as I said, it has to scrap Prometheus data and then it will get the data. So that's where it will going to take us a bit of a time. So this is one more advantage. If you send alerts by using Alertmanager, you don't have this particular delay. Because if you create an alert in Grafana, what will happen is it will wait for the data it will wait for the data being pulled from Prometheus and then it will send the alert. But if you do it in Alertmanager, so then as soon as something goes down in Jenkins, the alert will be sent. So let's refresh it again. You can see that there is a gradual decrease in the queue and our alert also in some time should be solved. You can see that it is there in the inactive state. Alert has been resolved, right? That resolved email also would have been definitely received in my email box. You can resolution of this high Jenkins queue also has been resolved and the email is being sent to this particular email ID. So this is done. So first 2 alerts that we wanted to create is I've created it. And the next one is my requirement is there is a job. Let's consider this particular job, which is admin UI. If this job fails for continuously 10 times, or if there are 10 failures, so then I want to send an email to the user so that he can take a corrective actions on the pipeline. So definitely this we can't do it in Prometheus because whatever the pipeline data is there, right? So the pipeline data, we are storing it in a InfluxDB. So we need to query that InfluxDB and then we need to create an alert. So to do that in Grafana also, I need to configure the SMTP details, the email details. So for that, so let's refer back our repository. So this is the command that I need to use, Grafana command. So here again, I've created previously Grafana with this command without any volume mount or copying the configuration file. So that's where I need to stop. And again, I need to recreate the Grafana container. So let's do that. It seems like I need to reconnect to my EC2 machine. So let's kill this particular session. Let's connect back. I've connected back to my machine. So let me do Docker PS here. And let's stop and remove Grafana container. This is because I can't mount the configuration file for existing containers. So that's where I need to stop this particular one. So let me clear the screen. And first thing is let's create a Grafana IIN file. So this particular file, I need to create it inside my machine so that it will be mounted onto the container. So let's copy this particular file, Grafana INI. And then I'm gonna put it over this particular configuration file. Again, you can see that SMTP details, the same email I'm using, same password I'm using. So let's save this particular one. And then once this is done, so let's go back to readme.md. By using this particular command, I'm gonna recreate the Grafana container. You can see that now I've recreated the Grafana container. So Docker logs, let's check the logs of the Grafana. So to make sure that nothing is broken, you can see that the logs looks okay. So now let me log into Grafana. As it is a new instance, this dashboard, whatever I previously created, would have been kind of destroyed. So it is asking me for the new password as it is a new container. Whatever dashboards that I have created are like data which were there, like would have been kind of removed. And first, foremost thing is I need to configure the data sources. Let me do that. So first one is Prometheus. So let me provide this URL and then let me click on save and test. And the other data source that I want to add is InfluxDB. So InfluxDB, same URL, but the port InfluxDB run on is 8086. And then we need to provide the database name. So in my case, Jenkins is a database name, so that I need to provide. Username, password is not required. So save and test. The data source is working. Now I have added both the data sources. Next thing is I can recreate the dashboard, but that's fine. To create an alert, we don't need that particular dashboard. But to create an alert, so then definitely we need a folder. So that's why what I will do is I'll gonna create a folder with the name DevOps, and let's create this particular one. Because while creating an alert rule, folder is a mandatory field. So that's where I've created this particular folder. And now, so let me click on this alerting. First is alert rule. So in this particular board, first let me configure contact points to whom I need to send an email. So that's where let me click on new contact point. Let me give it as contact point as DevOps -admin. And once that is done, so I'm gonna select the contact point type as email. So you can see that Grafana can be integrated with multiple contact points, like it can be email, pager duty, multiple things that you can configure with. And then email address I need to provide. So let me take the same email and let me provide it here. So let's remove this particular from. And then I can click on test as well. So when I click on test, a test email will be sent to my email ID. So by which we can test whether whatever the configuration that I've provided to Grafana, so whether it is working properly or not. So let's check now. The test email should be received in this particular email box. You can see that from Grafana, I've received some test email. So that means whatever SMTP configuration that I've done in Grafana, so it's working fine. So let me cancel this. And then once this is done, save the contact point. So I've saved it. The next thing is notification policy. I can create a new notification policy, but whatever is root policy is there, right? Let me edit that particular one only. So here what it say is like whatever the alerts which are there, when it goes to firing state, for which contact point I need to send the alert is what it is trying to say. So let me edit this. By default, I want to send it to DevOps admin and save it. And depending on the tags, if you want to redirect it to multiple different groups, is it possible in Grafana? The answer is yes. You can create different notification policies for that. So in my case, I'm using the default or a root notification policy. And then once this is done, so let me click on create a new alert rule. As I've configured Prometheus as a data source, you can see that even those alerts, rules, whatever I've configured has been shown here. And let me click on new alert. And then I'm gonna give the rule name as, let's give it as admin UI. So I'm gonna monitor admin UI job, right? So that's where I'm giving a role name as admin UI. And then folder DevOps, you can see that this is what I was trying to say. This is a mandatory field. So that's where we need to provide this folder. So that's why I've created a dummy folder. And then group, any name you can give. Again, I've given DevOps itself, but any name you can give it. And the next one is data source. So my data source will be InfluxDB because that's where I'm storing my pipeline data. So now let's copy the query. So this query you can see that. So let me execute it. Let me click on your explore in other window. And what I will do is I'm going to select InfluxDB and let me execute this particular query. So when I execute this particular query, what it does is in the last 10 runs, whatever has been failed or like completed to error, only those particular data will be displayed here. You can see that I have where condition where whichever is failed and completed error for that particular runs only show build number is what I'm trying to say. So let me copy the same command. So let me put it here. So I'm executing this particular query, so which provides me number of failed runs in last 10 executions. And so here, first condition, like here, you can see that first I'm executing query. And this is where the next expression should be classic condition or math condition I can choose. But in my case, I'll go with a classic condition. So what it does is like whatever is the output of this particular query. So here we by using that we can take a decision here. You can see that when the count of this particular A, if it crosses in the last 10 builds, if I see more than 3 failures, then I want to send an alert is what I'm trying to do. Okay, the count of query A, which gives me the query A gives me the failed runs in last 10 runs. So if it is more than 3, that's where I'm creating the alert. So here, as I'm creating it for like admin UI, let me change the job name here. The folder name will be same, but here it should be admin UI. So it shouldn't be admin API, it should be admin UI. So now once this is done, so here also you can see that condition. Whenever if it is query B, if it is 1, then only the condition will be satisfied and the alert will be triggered. We can give more information here, summary and description. I would say admin UI as field, and I can give more information like pipeline, URL, all those things here. So let me provide that admin UI URL, and I can give a runbook if you have any runbook steps to follow. So that particular URL also you can give it, and key value if you want to tag that particular alert in multiple tags. If you want to tag your alert with labels, that is also possible. Yeah. Okay, so that's fine. So I'm just giving very minimal information in summary and description. Let's save this particular one. And now you can see that this particular alert is in normal state because no multiple failures are has been observed in this particular admin UI job. So now let me go to Jenkins. Let's go to admin UI. Let me do wantedly some mistakes so that I can fail this particular job. So I've added some random command. So let me save this and let me execute multiple times. Build now on this particular job. You can see that multiple times that I've executed job, more than 3 times I see that in last 10 runs, this particular job has been failed. Let's go here to alerting, to the list of alerts. Let's see now what is the state of this alert. So here, let me edit. So one more thing is here, if you see, evaluate every 1 minute. For every 1 minute, it will be evaluated. For 5 minutes, if it is there in the same state, then only it will gonna send the alert. So as it is a demo, maybe let me reduce this particular one to 1 minute, and also I'll reduce evaluate for every 30 seconds. So and let me click on save. And now, so in a while, I should get that particular alert. Let me save it again. I guess it is being saved. So let's check the alerts now. It is still okay because it's not been 1 minute, right? So that's where. And let's check the email as well. So meanwhile, let me refresh the email. So I've not received any alert. So you can see that now from normal state to it has been moved to pending state. And in pending state for some time it will be there. And then it will go into firing state. So that's where Grafana will send that particular alert to this particular email. So let's wait for that. And we can filter it also. You can see that pending state, which are all the alerts are there. Firing state, which are all the alerts are there. Still, I can see my alert is in pending state itself. So let me refresh the screen. And now you can see that pending, from pending, it went to firing state. And now the email would have been sent to my email. Let's check that particular one. So I've refreshed my email. You can see that no alerts, but let me check in the spam. Yeah, I can see that one alert is being kind of shown in spam. You can see that data source admin UI has failed, description, whatever we have configured in alert, you can see that it's being showed here. So yeah, so like this is how we can configure the alert in Grafana. So in my work also, guys, like in one of the project where I've explicitly worked on this particular monitoring and alerting, it plays a very important role. The use cases also that I've shown, you can see that alerting plays a very, very important role. So that's where you need to read about alerting and also monitoring properly. And that's it for this particular video. If you've liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day.